Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Harlem Eubank, 30 years of age, 19-0, 8 inside the distance. He moves up to 147. He takes on Nurali Erdogan, 16-3-0 with only one stoppage, from France. It says here on Boxing Scene, and these are Harlem's words, after entering 2024 in the form of his life, Eubank's momentum has ground to a halt through no fault of his own. Not true, but we'll carry on. On November the 22nd, he will return to action as a welterweight. He said, "It's boxing politics. I try not to get too involved because it can demotivate you. You just need to be able to focus on what you're doing in the gym and then go in there and perform." He's put the disappointment of the botched Adam Azim fight behind him. But he says he can't shake off the feeling that he is being used. And he's obviously talking about Ben Shalom. Now, you probably know the story, so I'm not going to waste time talking about the inadequacies of I'm the victim Ben Shalom. But Harlem has to recognize he was also used by his uncle. After hearing Chris Jr.'s testimony to Ariel Hawani about the state of his relationship with his pops, Senior, in my opinion, was using Harlem to get at Chris, saying, "Harlem, this is my son now." Harlem's old man, a former pro boxer himself, passed away. Harlem is my son now. And after saying he's going to be very vocal and very visible in Harlem's boxing career, taking up the management position, he's decided to take a back seat. And look, he has a lot of issues himself. He really does. And Harlem himself should have read the situation. The so-called boxer promoter and Adam Azim were swerving Dalton Smith for their life.
Running for your life by the night, running from your wife.
And this patched up fight, where they rushed Harlem from Brighton to the O2 Arena, was all an elaborate hoax. I mean, I saw it. A lot of my subscribers saw it. A lot of people on social media, they saw it. We kept asking, where's the fight? Where's the fight? Where's the fight?
You can sugarcoat what you want. Adam Azim has ducked Dalton Smith. I mean, we had the official notice today from the EBU that he's relinquishing his belt. With all due respect, no one's calling for Adam Azim against Harlem Eubank.
Mainstream boxing media in Britain, they turn up for a paycheck with their clickbait, corny boxing analysis. And the fact that the British Boxing Board of Control, mainstream media, have not castigated Sky's official promoter for leading a British Boxing Board of Control licensed boxer, leading him up a bad road with false information and false promises, and hasn't been reprimanded for it, is diabolical and despicable. Never seen Barry Hearn, never seen Eddie Hearn, never seen Frank Warren do it, never seen Wasserman's do it. Nah, it's fucking bullcrap. Why are not his ethics being questioned? And Sky Sports as well. How is that allowed? Without even a slap on the wrist or someone coming out and saying, well, that's wrong what you're doing, and be sure not to do it again. The kid wasted months out of his career thinking a fight was going to happen that never was. I actually like the Conor Ben fight. Harlem's moving up to 147. You're both at the same weight class. And in fairness to Chris Sr., he was trying to promote a fight between Harlem and Conor. I think the opportunity's there now, and it would be a good fight for Conor. A good comeback fight. Eubank said he would have stayed at 140 for a decent opportunity. But, you know, it's time to move up. He's 30 years of age. The article headlines, he's fed up of waiting for the phone to ring. And yes, just get on with what you've got to do. It all takes place at the Walker Activity Dome in Newcastle in the northeast. Surprise, surprise, Jahan Ingram is on the card. Former Mayweather Promotions fighter. He's parted ways, obviously. That promotion has fell to bits. And he's ended up on a Wasserman card in the northeast. I don't know if he's signed to Wasserman. He's 5-0 with 4 inside the distance, 23 years of age. He went back and forth with Mayweather before the split. And then he went back and forth with Ellaby before the split. And it wasn't very amicable. Let's see if he can get his career back on track.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Considering this is subscription-based content, no pay-per-view being charged, it's not a bad card, but if you're going to compare it to the Riyadh season events we've seen, it's not the most star-studded lineup. Chris Billiam Smith, 34 years of age. 20 wins, 13 inside the distance, the WBO champion. Zurdo Ramirez, 33 years of age, 46 wins, 1 loss, 30 inside the distance. He is the WBA champion. This is a unification at cruiserweight, promoted by Ben Shalom and Oscar De La Hoya. I'm glad it's at Riyadh rather than America because I don't have to stay up until 4 or 5 a.m. to see the action. So I might actually go live and cover this, thinking about it. There's some good fights on there. Juan Carlos Ramirez versus Arnold Barboza is a good fight at 140. William Cepeda, he'll be expected to stop Tevin Farmer or rout him decisively on points. It would be a huge upset if Tevin Farmer was to upset the odds here. That's at lightweight. There's a WBO minimum weight title fight on there between Oscar Collazo. 10-0 takes on his challenger Thymon Nayatlong from Thailand, who's 25-0. And they've also got Oscar Duarte on there and a couple of unbeatens. 5-0 versus 6-0, squaring off at welterweight. The main event, a lot of people might be writing off Chris Billiam Smith. It's not a good idea. He's upset the odds in his wins against Riakporhe, where he avenged the earlier pro defeat. That was his last fight at Crystal Palace, and obviously took the title from Lawrence Okoli last year in a relatively big upset. And he's improved a whole lot under the tutelage of Shane McGuigan. Ramirez, he boxed a clever fight against Arsan Goulamarian to take the WBA title in March. In the face-off, Ramirez and Billiam were respectful to each other, but when asked what they can do better than the other, Ramirez said, "I've got quicker feet, better footwork." Ramirez might also have a hand speed advantage, but Shane, I don't feel, would let Billiam Smith take the fight unless they prepared meticulously. And I believe Shane and Barry wouldn't take the fight unless they thought Billiam had a good chance of winning. I hope Billiam can win it, and I think it's going to be close, perhaps controversial, although I think Billiam might be a little technically better than Goulamarian. But then again, watching Billiam against Masternak, one fight before Richard Riakporhe, and he looked really good in the Riakporhe fight. I'm going to pick Ramirez as who I think is going to win, but I'll be rooting for Billiam Smith to pull off the upset. But I think Ramirez can squeeze out a points decision. Billiam's got to be stingy, not give away scoring opportunities willy-nilly to Ramirez. I believe Ramirez will be looking to capitalise on Billiam's mistakes. He won't necessarily put full power in all of his shots. He'll vary the speeds up and try and catch Chris with combinations if he overextends and overreaches. Chris must avoid overreaching and overextending, and he must avoid loading up. He's got to get a rhythm going. Ramirez will not be tight like Richard Riakporhe. He's going to get off. Chris has got to keep his hands up, but not that hands up where you're tight and stiff. Chris has to get his jab off. He's got to double that jab up, and if Ramirez is looking for any breaks, that jab has got to keep working, and everything's got to come off that jab. I think it could be quite an entertaining fight, though. I think it could.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
I want to big up Boxing Social and everything boxing. Let's go. Christian Mbilli is ranked number 1 by the WBC, number 1 by the WBA, number 3 by the IBF, and number 2 by the WBO. Diego Pacheco is ranked number 3 by the WBC, number 4 by the IBF, and number 1 by the WBO. He's not ranked in the WBA top 15. He gets no love. These are the 2 leading contenders alongside Jaime Munguia at 168, and the IBF have ordered them to participate in an eliminator for William Skull's title. Stylistically, the 6'4" boxer puncher Pacheco versus the 5'8" swarmer Mbilli could be a concoction that's intoxicating stuff. Mbilli is now 29 years of age, 28 wins, 23 inside the distance. Pacheco, 23 years of age, 22 wins, 18 inside the distance. This will pit Top Rank versus Matchroom. Mbilli, Top Rank, haven't heard anything from his side of the deal that's holding him back from taking the fight. It seems to be all systems go. But Matchroom, before this eliminator was called, they had planned for Diego Pacheco to fight Trevor McCumbee, who gave Caleb Plant all the issues he needed in what was supposed to be a routine fight for Caleb. Caleb came through and won, but McCumbee proved himself to be a handful. And at 23 years of age, Pacheco, one of Matchroom's brightest prospects, will have Pacheco's team looking at this situation very carefully. This is matchmaking, people. The thing that I bang on probably more than any other uploader that you listen to. This is matchmaking. They had a schedule. We're going to take on Trevor McCumbee. New year. That should bring you on to 23 fights. And then maybe next, the Eliminator. Or maybe one more and the Eliminator. But Christmas has come soon for Diego Pacheco. But does he want it? I mean, at 23, they could skip the Eliminator and stick with their schedule. And there's no reason, losing aside, that he won't get a title shot anyway, either with the IBF or any of the other sanctioning bodies. But at the same time, maybe they're just looking at the opportunity and thinking, yo, he can beat him now. Go for it. Take out Mbilli and take on William Skull, who is a talented Cuban-style counterpuncher, but he looks beatable. From what I saw when he fought Vladimir Shishkin, he looks beatable to me. How are Team Pacheco going to play it? I don't know. If they don't take it, in a way, just in my opinion, it will look like, in my mind, that they don't 100% believe in Pacheco, but maybe they just want to take these eliminators and title shots at the right time.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Ring Magazine is important. Let's connect the dots. Queensberry rules. Like, if you go back to the bare knuckle days, there were a few champions who had belts, but they were personalized belts, which their fans and members of the media perhaps purchased for them. Britain's Tom Cribb, the English champion, he had a personalised belt. Charlie Mitchell from the United Kingdom, these are bare knuckle fighters, he got a personalised belt made for him after his efforts, a losing effort against John L. Sullivan. John L. Sullivan, he later got one. But we've got to go to the National Sporting Club, Lord Lonsdale, Covent Garden, 1909, when Freddie Welsh outpointed Johnny Summers over 20 rounds to become the first Lonsdale belt champion at lightweight. Now, why this belt is important is arguably, I'm not going to say the first, because someone will come back and say, no, you're wrong. But as far as I know, it's the first championship belt that you could lose and win in the ring. It wasn't personalized. That's 1909. Then we go to 1922. The Ring Magazine started handing out Ring Magazine belts. The first of whom got one was Jack Dempsey, the heavyweight champion, and then the flyweight champion, Poncho Villa. He was the second to get one. It's a little historical tidbit. And the news is out today that Turki Al Sheikh has bought the Ring Magazine from Oscar De La Hoya. Now, before I read Turki's post about all the good stuff that the Ring Magazine is going to do, let me just rebuttal this clown here. Because I'm not being funny, yeah? There's just too much American whinging. You know what I mean? Like, we've got whingers over here, like Joe Gallagher, whinge bag, whinge. Here's this guy here responding to Turki Al Sheikh buying the Ring Magazine. Sad to see an iconic American institution like the Ring Magazine sold to foreign ownership. I hope this new chapter stays true to the American roots and respects the legacy that made it the Bible of boxing. Here's to seeing it flourish while honouring its heritage. Now, the Ring Magazine was titled The Bible of Boxing in America. The original boxing Bible was founded in the United Kingdom. It's called the Boxing News. In 1909, the Ring Magazine came 13 years later in America in 1922. Yeah? If you knew anything about the history of boxing, if Nat Flesher was here, the first editor of the Ring Magazine, he'll tell you how symbolic the Boxing News was, yeah? The Boxing News didn't come out every month like the Ring Magazine. It came out every week, Friday or Thursday, every week. Stop whinging, stop bitching, stop moaning, stop crying. You're annoying as f***. You think all the history started in America, and it didn't. You're very ignorant and too entitled. The Boxing News covered boxing in Britain, the United Kingdom, Europe, Australia, Asia, Thailand, America, you name it. Wherever it was, it covered it. Weekly. Okay, To Turki Al Sheikh, he's finalized the deal to acquire 100% of the Ring magazine. The print version of the magazine will return immediately after a 2-year hiatus, and it will be available in the US and UK markets. The magazine will be fully independent with brilliant writers focusing on every aspect in the sport of boxing. We will restore the legacy of the Ring rankings to its old mechanism with a full independent panel that lives up to the Ring magazine's golden era. We will continue to raise the prestige of the Ring titles, and plans are already underway to have a yearly extravagant awards ceremony to celebrate the very best in the boxing industry in the coming weeks. We intend to debut a brand new state-of-the-art website, a mobile app. We are already in development for a line of Ring magazine merchandise. The Ring magazine will be a fully independent company without any involvement from Riyadh season. You see, that clown didn't even read the whole of the article. No involvement from Riyadh season. In the end, let's get the Bible of boxing back to heights that it has never seen in the past. I tell you what, why don't you go talk to Chris Dixon or Matt Christie or whoever's in charge of the boxing news and do a deal with them. Get that back on the shelves. It hasn't been on the shelves for a minute, maybe about 2 years or a year. I know Rob Tebbit and his YouTube channel, they merged with the boxing news, but it hasn't really come to much. They don't have the paper like Turki Al Sheikh has. So maybe that's another venture Riyadh season could look at restoring. You know, and then the paranoia in response to Turkey purchasing the Ring magazine. You know, the old story, sports washing. He's not really buying the Ring magazine. He's basically buying a sanctioning body. He'll manipulate the Ring magazine belt like it's a sanctioning body belt for fighters who go over to Riyadh. I don't think the Ring magazine has that type of pull no more. He's probably overpaid for it. You know, you're going to put it back on the shelves in the United Kingdom. Well, it would have to go back in the W.H. Smith because there's not as much news agents out there anymore. The W.H. Smiths are closing down rapidly. A lot of these people, you know, they talk about the sports washing, belt manipulation, like they've got some unique take on what's going on with Riyadh season, and it's really not that remarkable like you believe it is. If they were to use the Ring magazine to market their fights over there, they'd be entitled to. They've bought the flipping magazine. Just like they had an undisputed belt when Usyk beat Fury and when Beterbiev beat Bivol. So what, you expect them just to purchase all the stuff they've been purchasing to not use it to leverage what they're producing? It's not exactly a human rights violation, it's boxing. Didn't I see ESPN and Top Rank broadcasting Tyson Fury's fights against Schwartz and Otto Wallin as heavyweight title fights, and there was no sanctioning body involved? Didn't I see them do the same thing when Joe Calzaghe fought Bernard Hopkins, billed it as the light heavyweight championship of the world, and it was just the Ring magazine? Tyson Fury didn't even have the Ring magazine belt when he was doing that. Didn't I see Nat Fletcher jump up on the ring apron and demand Jersey Joe Walcott stop Ali versus Liston 2, saying Liston didn't beat the count, it's a knockout? Yeah, I've seen the Ring magazine manipulate the position. I've seen the sanctioning bodies manipulate the position. I've seen the commissions manipulate their position. I've seen the British Boxing Board of Control. I've seen everybody do it in boxing. But it's just a problem when the Arab gentlemen, they haven't even done anything like that. But the mere suggestion that they could, it's like outrage. It's a little too much.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.